I had to have the faith to accept that. You might say, well, that was imposing on my will, but he would never have done so if I hadn't really offered my life into his hands and let him take charge of it. That was an act of free will, and I could always retract it. But I found that people who did retract it never got anywhere, whereas those who went along with the guidance that he gave found themselves freer and freer, more and more joyful. Well, one thing came out gradually in my discussion, in my life with him and discussions with him. He mentioned how for many incarnations, an obstacle of mine, the main obstacle, had been spiritual doubt, too much intellect, and too much thinking. So, why would he put me into teaching? It's the obvious best solution. Because then I had to help other people resolve their doubts. I had to apply my mind many times. It's occurred to me in my life that some point on the path, some in the teachings that I haven't understood well. And then somebody else asked me a question I've had in my mind for years. Instantly I know the answer. Instantly. I don't know how it happens, but it does. And what I feel is that in being a channel, God gives you answers. And so in using your mind to serve, that's why I feel that in lecturing, I'm not teaching, I'm serving in a capacity of great humility, that this is the little thing I have to give you or others, just as each one has something to give. Nothing is more important than any other. But if God has given you something, then if you use that and ask Him to guide you and ask His energy to flow through you, you are blessed. You are blessed with wisdom. You are blessed with guidance. And so what I found is that whereas I had an infinity of doubts at the beginning of the path, the only thing I didn't doubt was that Master was my Guru, that I needed him, that I was his. I remember sometimes people would try to convert me to their teaching, and I would try to show that there are many paths to God. If they simply wouldn't buy that, I would answer, well, okay, let's just assume your path is better than mine. I couldn't be sincere following it. I'd better follow sincerely my second best path, if that's what you think it is. It doesn't matter to me whether it's the best or the second best or the 10th best. It's mine. And I had that attitude from the beginning. I've never for a moment in all these years doubted on that level. But the confusion that I had in my mind of trying to put it all together was enormous. But I found that through just the things that he gave me to do, it's been years since I've had any of that problem. It's all come so simple to me. I've seen that in this incarnation, surely I've overcome that, because I don't have any doubts on the teachings, on the path, on anything, because I feel that certainty that has come from tuning in to his guidance. So you see, he was telling me to do something that seemed to me just what I didn't need, just the opposite of what was best for me. But thank God I had the faith in him to go along with it, and I found that, yes, it was right. The clearing seemed to be over there, but the way out was over here. So, on this path, if you understand the need to follow that higher guidance, and you can get it through people who are appointed to help lead this community, you can get it from inside, you'll find that the more you act, one thing I found with Master was that he didn't analyze, he didn't sit us down and talk at great length. What he did was give us the right thing to do, and then the understanding came from within.
I'd like to start today with a brief reading from God's Boatman. A test that comes along on the path is a certain rebelliousness. The disciple thinks, you are asking too much of me. I'm not going to do that much. I've got my own life to lead. The disciple doesn't want to be asked to give up everything because that doesn't seem fair. So in reaction, he rebels. Another test that comes is what the guru is saying might be right for him and a few others, but it's not right for me. He doesn't understand me and my needs. Sister Gyanamata, Yoganandaji's most advanced woman disciple, came to him as a very old woman, quite frail and ill. So great was her dedication that though her body was very sick, she would unceasingly run up and down the stairs of Mount Washington serving her guru. It didn't matter to her because she never thought about herself. A couple of disciples said to her, "You've got your own will. Why do you need to follow him?" She replied, "Well, I'm a little too old now to change. Furthermore, I have never known such happiness in my life as I do now, being in tune with my guru." Hello again, friends. This is such a subtle topic, and it's one that we need to meditate on because people have the thought that I know what's best for me. No one else knows. I have direct contact with Master even. Did Swamiji really know what he was talking about? Are the books that he wrote, are they really full of wisdom? And we begin to have the ego takes a hold of us and we think we can guide our lives on our own. And that mainly comes because of low energy, of blocks, of maybe laziness, of doubts, maybe moods, emotions that we feel we don't want to put out the energy to change. And it takes a certain amount, a lot of energy to make changes in ourselves and to get to the point where we're free and we're free in God and we can merge in God. So as we hold back and say, no, I don't want to do this. No, this is impossible. This is too hard. Why are they asking me to do this? I'd rather hide out and not tell anybody I'm not doing it, or I'll definitely do it and it's not done. Well, these are things that are holding us back from our self-realization. It's not just holding us back from learning that particular job or seva. But in the beginning on the path, especially, there's that, I just don't want to do it. And I remember, I love the story, I've told it many times, of Swamiji with Master when he was walking by him, and Master asked him, well, how are you? How are you doing, Walter? And that's what he called him. And Swamiji said, well, and Master just said, that's good. Because he wanted us, he wants us to put out full force, all the energy that we have to make things happen. But some people, and I've certainly been hit by this at different times, we used to call it the unwillingness monster, that you just feel unwilling because it's too hot, because it's too cold, because it's whatever it is, you feel unwilling. And that, I remember when we lived at Ananda meditation retreat, I was there and I lived with another woman in a small cabin, and she was totally into herself and her appearance and everything about her. And the morning bell would ring, and she would say every morning until she finally left, she would say, I just hate getting up. Don't you hate getting up? She was so unwilling. Of course, it was early. I didn't like getting up, but I wasn't gonna say I hated it. But that's that energy, if I just don't want to do it, just keeps you back from spiritual progress. And we have to realize that. Master said it's to say my will, but God's will behind my will, and that I will reason, I will, and I will act. And also the greater the will, the greater the flow of energy, inspiration, magnetism. So it all starts with this willingness. Even when we energize in the mornings, when we meditate, whatever, there has to be I want to do it. I want to be in tune. I want to find God. There has to be that spirit there. And in the beginning, you have to train yourself to get that. But I made a list of the things that I was asked to do when I first came to Ananda. Not all of them when I first came, but from the first years when I was in my early 20s, and I was new and I didn't know much of anything, but I was willing. And I would just tell you some of the things that Swamiji asked me to do, which I actually did. Run a vegetarian restaurant. I knew nothing about that. Teach and give satsangs and classes. Oh my God, that was frightening. Help run Ananda San Francisco house. I knew nothing about that, but I said yes. Go to Europe and start Ananda there with a small group of people. Turn a dilapidated hotel into an Ananda retreat and center in Italy. Travel around and teach in Europe. Go to Africa. Start the Kriya Sangha in America. Go to Australia. Go to India. Live in India. Stay in India. And I think one of the most wonderful ones for me was near the end of Swamiji's life. I think it was his last trip to India. He said to me, we were just getting to the airport to drop Swamiji off. And I thought, oh, this was a wonderful trip. I'm so glad everything went well. I mean, it took a lot of energy to make those trips nice for everyone. And so we were just maybe a minute or two from the airport. And I was sitting in the back seat of the car just thinking, well, this was wonderful. And Swamiji says, Dhyana? I said, yes, Swamiji. And he says, why don't you learn the Hindi script? And this was just completely out of the blue. And I just went, why? And then I went, oh my God. Then he said, why not? And I said, okay. And I did learn some of the Hindi script, and I am speaking in Hindi. But did I want to? It wasn't that I wanted to, but I needed to be able to do what Master wants me to do here. And just as with Swamiji, when he was new on the path, he came to Master, and Master, we all know the beautiful story. Master had him go teach on his behalf, give a Sunday satsang and a Kriya. He hadn't been there, but I think it was 8 months or something like that. And Swamiji, this monk comes and he says, Master wants you to speak on his behalf. And Swamiji says, I've never given a lecture in my life. And he just gives him the money. Here's bus money, just get going. And then he says, oh, by the way, Master also wants you to give Kriya. He says, I've only been to one Kriya, my own. He says, well, Master wants you to do it. It's such a beautiful spirit. Did Swamiji do those things? Yes, he did. And he said to Master, as he was saying on this talk, I don't want to be a teacher. I don't want to do these things. And Master just told him a couple of things. He said, living for God is martyrdom. That was one thing he told him. And also that you may as well learn to like it, because it's what you'll have to do. Now, what does that mean? You'll have to do it. It means you need to do it. And I know people, they are asked to do this. No, I'm afraid. Well, why don't you? No, I can't do that. Well, why don't you do this? That's so difficult. Well, how do you plan to grow? And so just keep trying. And maybe you bomb out. I remember some wonderful times when we would sing all throughout Europe when we were living there. And sometimes it was, you didn't feel that comfortable. Swamiji was saying, go over there. It would be a small group. Go over there and just sing. We're just out on the streets of Assisi. Go sing in front of that church. And nobody was singing in front of the churches but us. And then, go sing in the park. So we'd go sing in the park. You're kind of embarrassed, but after a while you got over the embarrassment. But I remember one time we sang at the park, it was so terrible. And so we came back to Swamiji and we said, how did it sound, Swamiji? He says, well, you looked like angels. And that's the best we could do. But keep trying, and you'll find that the most important thing is your attitude. And as you get the right attitude, yes, I will do it. Say yes to life. Try it. Otherwise, you never expand. Your horizon stays small, and you can't draw the inspiration, the guidance. I remember one time, and I'll close with this. But maybe I'll close with this. But I had in my mind that Master wanted me to go to Mumbai to help get a center there, and it was so clear in my mind. And I thought of all the reasons, no, and Gorgon, and I'm, whatever. But it wouldn't leave my mind. And I was willing, but I didn't know if it was exactly the right thing to do. But I did it. And it turned out to be the right thing because I was willing and I kept tuning in to Master's guidance. And lo and behold, there became a center there with a lot of help from a lot of people. It's like the story of St. Francis, who many of the saints and masters, they didn't have a map showing them, do this, do this, do this, you're going to do this, you do that. And St. Francis heard God speaking to him, Christ speaking to him, saying, go and rebuild my church. He was in Assisi. And all he knew was, well, okay, I'll rebuild one of the rundown churches. But his mission was worldwide, really. It wasn't to rebuild one church. It was the Christian church, the faith, all Christianity, that he helped to rebuild that. But he started with what he understood. And then the guidance came, and more guidance came, and more, because he was willing. So God is looking for, Master's looking for instruments, channels. Be that in your life. And then you will find that the more willing you are, the more energy, the more clear, the more power, Shakti you have, the more in attunement you are, the more uplifted, and finally, the more happy you are when you don't just go with your own whims and fancies. I'd like to close with this very brief from this book on Master, on success, how to be a success. He says, your success in life does not depend only upon natural ability. It also depends upon your determination to grasp the opportunity that is presented to you. Opportunities in life come by creation, not by chance. They are created by you, either now or at some time in the recent or distant past. And he says, use your willpower to perfect yourself. You must depend more and more upon the mind, because it is the creator of your body and your circumstances. Now I'll ask Nitendra to join. And we have a few questions today.
Yes, Janaji. I'll just share my screen. So the first question, Janaji, is that what about my own will? I think I know what is best for me in my life. So then why do I need to follow the Guru?
Isn't it interesting? It seems we do know, but I know I left Ananda for 3 whole years going by my own will. It was a disaster. Everything that could go wrong, it went wrong. By God's grace, Master's help, I got back, but there's deep waters out there. Try it. Maybe you'll succeed. I don't know anyone who has, who I know on the path or who has gone from the path. But it seems so, but there's a lot of pitfalls there. How do you know? Even from one day to the next, let alone your whole life, let alone the past lives. Hopefully not that many future, but let alone future lives. So we need the help of others. We need the help of the Guru. The ego is very tricky and crafty, and it can get you into a lot of trouble.
Thank you, Janaji. The next one is, there are so many things to be negative about. And I find my energy dropping because of that to a completely negative point. Then I don't have any energy after that to do much of perhaps anything.
Yeah. You have to make the choice, don't you? I mean, you can find things even in good times to be negative about. You know, one person, I was remembering this fun story that there was a man, his horse, and a little boy, and he was walking down the road, and some villagers said, "Oh, look at that perfectly good horse, and they're not even riding it." So the man thought, well, maybe I'll get on the horse. So he gets on the horse. So the boy's walking, the man's on the horse, and they go down the road. There's some other villagers. Look at that selfish man. He's riding that horse, and the little boy is walking. His little son is walking. And so he says, God, maybe I'll put the boy on the horse. So he keeps walking, and he puts the boy on the horse, and the man gets off, and he starts walking. They pass another village, and they said, look at that little selfish boy. He's got his father's walking, and he's on the horse. So then the man thought, well, maybe we'll both get on. So they both get on. They pass another village. They said, look at those people bearing that horse down. And both of those people trying to ride that horse. And the man said, oh, just forget it. So there's so many things. You can be negative about this, that, and the other. So you have to choose. You choose master, or you choose negativity and delusion. You choose Maya. You have to choose. And you choose Maya enough, then you'll start choosing master.
Thank you, Dhananjay. That's really an interesting story. The next one is, I feel lazy, but I know that I could be doing more. And I feel stuck. So what should I do to get moving? Actually, I was much better before COVID, but now I have less energy.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have that dilemma. I would say, whatever inspires you, start with that. So if you're inspired in the spiritual teachings, if you're inspired by energization, just start back with maybe energizing twice a day. If you're inspired by chanting, start chanting more, and then chanting will take you into the next thing. If you're inspired by listening to Swamiji's talks, listen, and then he'll inspire you to get up and do other things. If you're inspired by the books, read something. That one, start with something. Don't try to start with everything. And just get in the door, and then everything will be there inside the room. Is it making sense? So just whatever is inspiring to you, start with that, and other things will come along.
Thank you, Dhananjay. That's really practical. The next question is it possible to be too willing?
Yeah. Yeah, well, we all know that story in the path, I believe, where that master was cooking, and she was cleaning up after him. So every time he would dirty a pot, she'd clean the pot, then he would dirty a skillet, she would clean so master wanted to teach her to be in her center. You have to be in the center and be willing, not just sort of outside of your center. And so she just kept racing after him. She thought, God, he's messing up everything in the kitchen. I've never seen such sloppy cooking. So then she sat down, and the master was just normally cooking. And she learned the lesson that, don't get out of your center. Stay clear and centered. Serve from your center. Be willing from your center. One time Swamiji asked me to come help him do something in his apartment in Nanda village. And I went down there, and he said, oh, thank you for coming. And I said, only if I were dead would I not come here. I thought that's a great answer. And he said, what's wrong? He said, don't be so obsessed or something like that. Just relax. And so, don't be so nervous. Nervousness and tension by being willing isn't the right thing to do. So be centered in yourself. Do it with energy, but not with nervousness, tension. It's got to do it. That's not right either. And for God's sake, take breaks. Take breaks so that you can rejuvenate yourself. Come back fresh. If you never take a break, you never take a day off, you never go on any vacation, you're going to be burned out.
We have two more questions, Dhyanji.
Okay.
The first one is, the Ananda Center leaders and teachers are not infallible. So how do I know that they are guiding me correctly?
Yeah, that's a very good question. These are things you have to feel inside. Now, they probably have been there or a little longer than you, or may have had more contact with Swamiji or something. I know Swamiji, Master told people to go to Swamiji, and he was like 22 years old. And he said, you don't know what you have in Walter. So it's not age, and it's not even how long you've been there. It's more your attunement. So I would just watch and see, are the things that they're doing, do those seem in tune? Their attitudes, are those in tune? I mean, nobody's perfect, but are they trying their best to not act from ego? And then you might ask another person you respect, you know, if you're not sure, yeah, test it out. But don't say, no, I'm going straight to Master. I love what Swamiji said. He said, people look at Master's picture and say, oh, he said yes. I asked Master and he said yes, because the picture's smiling. And Swamiji said he's always smiling in the picture. That doesn't mean he's saying yes. So use self-honesty. And I find that people don't really want to take advice. Like Jayaji says, are you coming for advice or are you coming for support? Most people are coming for support. I want to do this. Isn't it right? Isn't it? And you say, well, I don't think so. But why isn't it right? It's right, isn't it? You know, they're like a lawyer trying to convince you that their mistake is right. So you might think the center leader isn't guiding you properly because they're not going along with what you want to do. That's the other part of it. So be honest with yourself. And then you'll find that answers come from everywhere. So you might see it on a signboard. You might hear it from a piece of music, or you might hear it from a talk, or you feel it in your heart. But don't assume that they don't know. There's a good percentage of reason that they will be guiding you for the most part in the right way. Or Swamiji likely would not have put them in that position.
The final question, Dhyanji, but I mean, anyway, you touched upon it. The question was, can't I just go straight to Master to get my answers? Why do I need Swamiji or any of the acharyas?
I would say try it and see. Try going without a guru. Try it. I think we all have tried it before we got here. And I certainly tried going on alone, but I got burnt to a crisp. Honestly, I couldn't wait to get back. And even every day, if you say, no, I'm going to do it on my own, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to do it. Well, try not doing it. If Master really wants you to do that for your own growth and you don't do it, you don't grow. Maybe you get out of tune. Maybe you get lazy. You know, it could be like energization. I don't like it. I don't want to do it, and I won't. Okay, so there you have it. Where are you going to end up? Not enough energy to, certainly not to meditate, not enough energy to have clear thoughts, inspiration. You won't be in tune because Master gave those. How are you going to do Kriya? How are you going to find God? So that's a good example, just to say, no, I'm not, because I go to the gym. And I hear that so much. I go to the gym. I have muscles. I don't need energization. Well, try it. Late in life, your body's going to have problems. I'll close with this because I know we're at the end. That Swamiji, one time he said this, I just heard this on a talk the other day. He missed his meal and he was with Master, and Master said, now go and have your dinner. And so Swamiji, he said, no, I don't, it's okay, I don't need it. And Master said, no, you need it. No, I don't. It's subtle. It's not subtle. He said, Swamiji said, no, I'm okay. I'll just go meditate, go to bed. And Master said, no, have your meal. Because if you don't, later in life, your body's going to suffer. Now, see how subtle that is? Just this little guidance from the guru. And Swamiji, he said, I tried to kid him off of that, but he said, no, 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 you need to do it. So the subtlest thing, Swamiji would say, even just a look from his eyes, a gesture, he would be telling you volumes. And here we have all the books, all the talks, all the online classes, everything. And we're still going, no, I don't want to. Oh, many of you have children, I'm sure. And you know, the child just says, eat your vegetables or whatever. It's, no, I don't want to. And after a while, you know, it's good for them. After a while, you just have to say, listen, if you don't do this, it's not good for you. So, but in the final analysis, we as adults have to choose. You choose a guru, you choose your own way. And I'm telling you, there's not really an in-between. I know that sounds drastic, but it's not really. I mean, you can hold off for a while between that choice going to one or the other, but it's not really. It's like being on a boat in the ocean, and you're trying to decide which way to go. Finally, a shark attack comes. A shark comes and eats you and makes a decision for you. So in our life, in the spiritual life, Maya comes and makes a decision for you. Okay, you haven't decided? Woof. It just takes you. And it's nothing to play with. So be with people who are strong, inspired, willing, who've been going for decades. The more you can be with people who have stuck with it and saying God alone, the more you'll be able to stick with it yourself. And hopefully in the final analysis, we all find God together. God bless you all.